Today's lesson is on finding the length of an arc. We'll look at the formula for circumference, use arc lengths to find measures, and then find the angle in radians and degrees. The circumference of a circle is pi times diameter, or 2 times pi times radius. To find the arc length, we take the length of an arc over 2 pi r, set that equal to the measure of the arc in degrees, which is also the central angle, over 360 degrees. To convert from degrees to radians, we're going to multiply by pi over 180, and from radians to degrees, we're going to multiply by 180 over pi. In our first example, we're going to find the indicated measures. The circumference of a circle with a radius of 11. So we use the formula circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. We plug in the radius, which is 11 inches. If we leave it in exact, we use 22 pi, that's considered exact. Once we take 22 and multiply it by pi in our calculator, that's considered an approximation, so that would be 69.12 inches. Find the radius of a circle with circumference of 4 millimeters. The circumference is equal to 4. We're going to take 4 and set it equal to 2 times pi times the radius. To get r, we're going to divide by 2 times pi. So if we take 4 divided by 2 times pi in our calculator, we get 0.64 for the radius. In our next example, we're going to first find the length of arc PR. So we're going to take our degree of our central angle divided by 360 times 2 pi times radius. Radius is 12. So in our calculator, you have to take 100 divided by 360, and then multiply that by 2 times pi times 12. We get 20.94 as our answer for the arc length. In our next example, we're finding the circumference of the circle. So for this one, we have 130 over 360. We set that equal to our arc length, which is 6.5 over the circumference. We're going to cross multiply and solve for circumference on this one. So we'll cross multiply 360 times 6.5, and then divide that by 130. We get 18 for the answer. So the circumference is 18. On our next example, we'll find the measure of the arc. So we're finding the angle versus the length of the arc, like in the first one. So we're going to take our measure of our arc over 360 equals the length of the arc over the circumference, which is 2 times pi times 14.32. Again, we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to take 360 times 21 and take that answer and divide it by 2 times pi times 14.32. We get an answer of 84.02. And that's in degrees. The dimensions of a car tire are shown. To the nearest foot, how far does the tire travel when it makes 15 revolutions? So if we take a look at the one revolution is 360 degrees. So let's figure out what the diameter is 15 of the tire. Let's figure out what the circumference of the tire is. So if 15 is the diameter, that means the radius is 7.5. To go one revolution around, find the circumference, which is 2 times pi times 7.5. If we multiply 2 times 7.5 times pi, we get 47.12 for the circumference. Okay, the rim is 7.5 for the radius. We want the entire tire, so we have an extra, so we want the whole thing. So if we add the 15 plus the 5.5 plus the 5.5, and then take half of that, we would end up with a, so 15 plus the 5.5 and the 5.5 would be 11, so it would be 26. So the radius of the whole tire is, so this is rim, is 13. We're going to use the radius of the tire. So the circumference is going to be 2 times pi times 13, or 26 pi. To find the distance, we take the number of revolutions times the circumference. So this would be 15 times 26 pi, which is approximately equal to 1,225.2 inches. If we convert that into feet, there's 1 foot is 12 inches. So I take 1,225.2, 1 foot over 12 inches, or divide by 12. We will end up with approximately 102.1 feet. So about 102 feet. In our next example, we're first going to figure out the circumference. We're going to take 2 times the length of each of the straight sides, and then we're going to add to that 2 times the length of each of the half of a circle or semicircles to find out how far we're going to go around the track. So we're going to take and divide this up. Take 2 times 84.39 . And then we're going to add that to the half of the circumference, or they're going to equal a total circumference. If we look at it, it makes a full circle. So if I take 2 times 84.39, we get 168.78. Then we have 2 of the half circles, so 1/2 of 2 pi times the radius. The radius is 36.8. 1/2 and the 2 will cancel. So I take 2 times pi times 36.8. And we get 231.2. If we add our two numbers together, 231.2 plus 168.78, our total is around 400. It's 399.98, around 400. Set around to the nearest tenth. It rounds to 400 meters for the distance around the track. In our last example, we're going to convert. So to get radians from degrees, multiply by pi over 180, simplify your fraction, leave pi in the answer. 3 over 18 is 1/6, so 1 pi over 6, or just pi over 6 for 30 degrees. To convert 3 pi over 8 to degrees, we do the opposite, multiply by 180 over pi. So we take 3 times 180 divided by 8 in the calculator. If we take 3 times 180 divided by 8, we get 67.5 degrees. And that's it for our lesson today.